Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this introductory webinar on our new Learning Pathways feature. My name is Becky. I am one of the colleagues here at the Supply Chain School, and soon I'll be introducing you to my colleague Wendy, who'll be taking you through a short demonstration of the Learning Pathways. But just a quick few pieces of housekeeping as we get going. First things first, to let you know that this session is being recorded. So you will be able to watch it back afterwards, and you will be able to circulate the content to your colleagues as well. And additionally, we do have a chat box in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So if you do have any questions as we're going along, you'll be able just to type those into the chat box, and we'll be happy to respond to you and to help you out with any questions that you might have. So without further ado, I'm just going to hand you over to Wendy, who'll be able to take you through our new Learning Pathways feature.
All right, thanks, Becky. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'm really excited to share this new feature with our members. Learning paths are, I feel, going to be a very valuable tool for many people going forward. So yeah, I'm really excited to take you through how to get them set up and to start using them. So what we are going to do today is just go through the two main learning pathway types that you'll be able to use, how you can get them set up, allocate them to your colleagues, and also track their progress. So we're going to start, hopefully you can all see my screen at the moment. We're going to start on your company dashboard. So right now we're looking at the Action Sustainability company dashboard. You will notice when you log into your company dashboard that there is a new administration tile just underneath the company logo here. And in that box is a link that says Manage Learning Paths. So if I click on that link, what I will see is a page where any learning paths that you have created will appear, and they're ready to be managed. Now we have in Action Sustainability created a number of learning paths since they launched this week. You, of course, who have not set up any learning paths won't see anything, but that's okay. I'm going to take you through how we get those set up for you. So what you'll notice at the bottom of the page is a button that says Create Learning Paths. So we will click that in just a second, but I will point out that as and when you do create learning paths and get them set up in this table, you can search for them using the search function. And we also have an alphabetized paginator up here that will just help you navigate through the page. So I'm just going to, let's get started. So to create a learning path, I mean, the basis of a learning path is that we want to allocate resources to our colleagues for whatever reason. Maybe it's a topic we want them to know more about. Maybe it's a new policy that we want to make sure everyone has read. For whatever reason. So not only do we want us as admins to be able to track the completion and progress of our colleagues, we want to award something to our colleagues for completing this work. So we're going to give our learning path a name and a description. We're also going to award a badge. So I'm just going to fill in a little bit information here. Let's go. Wendy's member test learning path. I'm also going to give it a description. Now, this is a rich text box where you can add in a little bit of information about why you're allocating this resource to your colleagues. This can be as simple as, this is a description. It can be very brief, or you can add a paragraph to it. You can say, well, this is why we're doing this. This is important to us because of X, Y, Z. We are being told that we have to do this by our client. Whatever you want to put in this box, you can. I just wanted to point out that you can add links, you can add you can add images, you can add bullet points, you can add headers. If you expand the box, you've got a couple more formatting options here. Just letting you know that that's an option, because this is what we'll see is when the learning path is created. You want to know what the user will see when they go to complete the work. So I'm going to give the badge a name here. I'm just going to go test badge. And this is to give the image that we create so that when the learning path is completed and a badge is awarded to a user's dashboard, just something to indicate like what the image represents. Just speaking about this image, this is the default badge that we have here. This is just something that we created. You don't have to use the default image. You can upload your own. You also have the option to not use a badge at all. But if you do want to upload a badge yourself, I'm going to go, I'm going to choose a different file. You can go in and choose whichever image you like. It does have to be a certain size. We do very much recommend that the image is 150 pixels by 150 pixels. And that's just, for display, optimal display. Just want to make sure that, it's not stretched or distorted or anything like that. So we've got our icon uploaded. The next thing we're going to do is select the learning path type. So you'll see here, anything that is a mandatory, a required option is sort of highlighted using this little red exclamation point button. So the only things that you really have to give is a name and a type. But the type is very important because that controls where the user accesses the learning path from. So we're doing an individual learning path, and that is so individuals in our company, in our account, can complete this learning path. We can allocate it to individuals in our account. So we've got that selected. Now there are these two options here, level and conditional access. So these are features that you can use. Say you wanted to create a series of learning paths that increase in difficulty or show progression over time, or maybe you just want people to keep coming back for more, as they carry on their learning path journey. You can do this by creating several learning paths and assigning a level to them. So a great example of this is we have developed a series of learning paths on sustainable procurement. Level 1 will be, a handful of resources that are beginner level. Level 2 gets progressively more difficult. Level 3 even more difficult, so on and so forth until you reach level 5. Each level is associated with its own badge, and users can only complete the next level if they have completed the previous level. So this is completely optional. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You don't have to assign a level, but it is something that we do think will be useful for people who they want to show that there's varying degrees of difficulty when it comes to resources, or you want to see how people are progressing in their competencies of specific resources. That's an option for you. Working in tandem with the levels is the conditional access option here. So you could say, you may not want to assign numeric levels, but you might want to say, well, I don't want users to complete the learning path that I'm creating before they've completed the one that I created a month ago. Or, you could set up resources, or you could set up learning paths in a way that they have to complete X before they complete Y. And that you can do that via this option here. So you can see this dropdown is including any of the learning paths that Action Sustainability has previously set up. So again, a completely optional feature. You can use them in tandem, or you could use them separately. It's completely up to you. We do think that this will be very useful. A very useful feature for our members going forward. If you have any questions about this, if I haven't explained it well, please just get in touch and we will walk you through it. Just underneath those options, you'll see a due date feature. So it will by default be it won't be enabled. But if you enable it, you can see these drop-down menus become available, and you can select a date using the drop-down menus. You can also use the calendar feature here, where I'm going to just randomly select, let's go Halloween. They have to do it by Halloween. And this will set a due date for the learning path. Your colleagues will be notified that this is when they have to complete the learning path by. And after that date passes, they will no longer be able to complete the learning path. It will disappear from their dashboards. So, and you can go in and change this due date if you choose. Everything in here is editable. Just underneath the due date is there are two rich text boxes here that represent the automatic emails that will be sent to your colleagues. So as and when your colleagues are allocated a learning path, this is the automatic email that they will receive. So by default, we've got some basic boilerplate text in here for you to indicate who it's going to, what the learning path name is, and who has allocated it to them. You can provide more information if you want. Again, it's a completely rich text box. You can add images, bullet points, links, headers. You know, you can fill it out to say, like, we're assigning you this learning path because X, Y, Z. Completely up to you. Or you can leave it the way that it is. It doesn't matter. You can also edit the reminder email. Now, this is an email that is sent to your colleagues 1 week prior to the due date if you have selected a due date for your learning path. If a user has any outstanding activities in that learning path, they will receive this email just to say, your due date is 1 week away. Please ensure that you've completed all your activities. Again, you're able to make any edits that you like to this. We would recommend, however, that you leave the coded information alone. Otherwise, you don't want your users to receive any garbled brackets and parentheses, etc. So that's how that is. That's how that was all set up. So I am happy with the information that I've provided here. I don't think I need to make any more changes. I'm going to click save. Excuse me. And what this will do is it'll have my learning path will set up will appear in the manage learning path table. You will also see anyone who's assigned or completed the learning path that you've set up. So I've got the member test learning path here. There's no one assigned and no one completed, obviously, because we just set it up. But what we need to do first, before we allocate it to any users, is assign some resources to it. So I'm going to click on this little manage icon where I'm taken to a page that will allow me to select as many or as few resources to include in the learning path as possible. So if you just go through the search field here, you can search by title. So I'm just going to start typing Toolbox Talk. And what it will do is pull up any of the resources that are that have Toolbox Talk in either the title or the description. So if I go air quality, I'm going to also include the Weights and FM Toolbox Talk. I can also include, let's go with, let's choose one more. Here we go. So now we've got our 3 resources. Again, you can also have just one resource in there as your learning path. That's completely acceptable. Or you could have 50. It's completely up to you. If you've selected a learning path, sorry, if you've selected a resource that you don't, that you may have added by accident, you're like, oh, that's not the one I meant. There's a little X next to the title. If you just click on that, it will remove it from your learning path. I am going to include one more just to round things out. So now I'm happy with my list of resources that are currently in my learning path. Now the next thing I need to do is select my path completion criteria. So what does the user need to do to be awarded the badge and be marked as complete? So there's a couple of options here, and I'll take you through all of them. The first one, and the default option, is to say the learning path is achieved when all the resources that are marked required are complete. So that means that I can go through and I can select either all or some of the resources that I've indicated I want as required resources. So I'm going to go all of them. I can also go, well, I want waste in FM and I want the London waste map, but the air quality is sort of a nice to have. So you can have this as an optional resource, or you can have all of them be required. That's your choice. The other thing that you can do is the learning path is achieved upon the completion of any number of resources. So if for whatever reason you had 10 resources and they all pertain to a particular area, you could say that I want users to complete 5 out of the 10 resources, but I don't care which ones. If you select this second option and you say, I want them to complete 2 resources, what this will do is it will allow the system to mark the first 2 resources in this learning path that the user completes as the 2 required resources. It'll mark the user as complete, it'll award them the badge, and that'll be that. So that's helpful if you want people to get a taste for a specific topic, but you don't really want to say you must complete this resource, and this resource. I am going to go with the first option. I'm going to select all resources as required. I'm going to click Save Changes. I'll be taken back to the Manage Learning Path table where I can now allocate this to my users. You can allocate a learning path to your users before you allocate resources. Better to do it the other way around, though. Make sure that your learning path has been populated with resources before you go enrolling your colleagues. So we have our resources set up. Now we're going to send it off to our colleagues. So you'll see this little contacts icon here in the right-hand corner. If I click on that, I'll be taken to a page where I can add users to my learning path. So I currently don't have anyone in my learning path, but that will soon change. I'm going to click the Add User button. And a little window will pop up with a search field where I can start to search for anyone in my company. So I'm going to start by saying Action Sustainability. Here are all my colleagues. I'm going to add Sarah, Emily, Rosie, Helen, and Becky. And those are the people that I want to complete this learning path. Now I can search by name. I can also search by email address. The other thing that I can do is I can add all users of the company. So if I want everyone who is in my supply chain school account to complete this learning path, I tick this box and it will be those users will all be allocated that learning path. The other thing that I can do, and I will take you through this in just a moment, is assign a learning path to a group. So I have a couple of groups set up here. I'm going to take you through how you go about that in just a moment, but that's also an option. So you can assign to everyone, you can assign to individuals, or you can assign to groups of individuals. So I'm happy with these 5 users. Again, if you have added anyone by mistake, you can put a little X next to their name and they will be removed. But I'm going to keep these 5 in here. If I click Save Changes, their names will be populated in this table. And as and when they achieve the learning path, a little date will populate in this table here. I can also remove them by clicking on the trash can in the edit column here. Also, if you have added, a large number of participants to your learning path, you can use the search function, or you can use the alphabetized paginator, which is available here. That's just a couple of helpful ways for you to navigate around the interface. If I go back to Manage Learning Paths, what I can see of my member test learning path now, I can see that the 5 users that I allocated are in the assigned column. None of them have completed it. I also have the ability to download the report. Now, no one has completed this learning path yet, but if I click on this report link, what this will do is it will download an Excel report for me. And if I just click on this and open it up, what this will do is it'll show me all the people who are in the learning path and all the resources that they have been assigned and what their status is. So I can see, because we've got multiple resources in the learning path, I can see that there are a handful of people who are in my account who've been assigned this learning path that have completed some of the resources, but not all of them, not enough to have completed the learning path. So here's a perfect example. I've got Becky has completed the air quality toolbox talk back in November, and she completed the waste and FM toolbox talk just back in July. So she's not quite done all of them. She is in progress. Other people have not started specific resources, but this is a really good way for you to start tracking, okay, well, where are people at? What are people viewing? When did they view it? Yeah, where are they at essentially? So it will tell me if I have allocated an e-learning module. Unfortunately, I have not done that as part of this learning path. But if an e-module is included in a learning path, you will be able to see their grade as and when they pass the e-learning module. If they don't pass, it'll just say in progress, so that the grade will always be above 80%. That's just something that is standard. You'll notice, though, that this learning path was allocated just today, and Becky completed this resource back in November. So how can that be? Well, this is because we are not asking users to complete resources a second time. So we don't want to, we don't want to have a resource be accessed a few weeks ago and then allocated in the learning path and not give that person credit. So if a user has previously completed the learning path, has previously completed a resource, the date that they completed it will show up here. It doesn't necessarily have to be after the allocated date, just to be sure that we're not asking users to complete resources twice. So it is entirely possible that you could set up a learning path, download the report, and already have people have completed it. So that's just that's something that I wanted to take you through. That in a nutshell is how an individual learning path is set up and tracked. Now, if you wanted to see how an individual learning path looks, I'm going to take you quickly to my dashboard. I'm going to show you how a user, how it would look to a user if they had been assigned a learning path. So first of all, I would have received my automatic email indicating that my admin has allocated a learning path to me for me to complete. With the basic information from the automatic email. I can then scroll down and see a little tile on my dashboard that says My Courses. So there's two buttons here, one that says View Activities and one that says View Course Catalog. So the View Activities is where I can go to see any resources that have been allocated to me, either by my admins or by myself, where I've enrolled myself into a learning path. But I'm going to get to that in just a minute. First of all, I'm going to click on View Activities. So I can see here any of the learning paths that have been either allocated to me or that I've enrolled myself in. The first one up here is the Action Sustainability Learning Path. I can see the little badge here that I'm working towards. I can see the information about the learning path listed here. Here's the description, the due date, the date that I was allocated the learning path, and a little bit of information about what I need to do to complete that learning path. Now, I can expand or collapse the list of resources that I've been assigned. I can see here I've got 4 resources that I'm meant to complete. I can see which ones are required. In this case, all 4 of them have a little red required icon next to them. And there's a tick box next to the resources to indicate whether I've completed the resource or not. So I've gotten 3. I haven't quite finished all of them. As and when I do, what I will see on my dashboard is the badge icon underneath my avatar. It will show the number of badges that I've got. If I click on this, it will take me through to my badge section where I can see any badges that I've been awarded. Unfortunately, I don't have any badges yet, but that will hopefully soon change now that we've got our learning paths up and running. The other thing that I can do is, yes, I've been allocated learning paths by my admin. I could also peruse a series of learning paths that have been created either by school admins or by my company admin, and that will appear in the course catalog. So if I just wanted to see, well, what resources are out there? What are some things that I can do to further my learning? I don't necessarily just sort of want to scroll through the resource library. I want to see what's out there in terms of things that are specific to a topic. By clicking on the course catalog, this will take you through to a series of learning paths that have been set up either by the school or by the admin. So I've just got this one example in here now. This is a test self-enroll learning path, and I am already enrolled in it. So I'm going to take you through how to set this up. So I'm going to go back to my company dashboard, back to the Manage Learning Paths table. So this will be really useful for anyone who is perhaps part of the FUR Ambassador program or interested in sustainable procurement. The school will be setting up self-enrollable learning paths in both of those areas, so people will be able to go in and achieve badges in those areas, and they will be available to everyone. So what I've got here is that test self-enroll learning path that I showed you just a moment ago. I'm not going to create a new one. I'm just going to edit this one to show you. If you wanted to set up a self-enroll learning path, the steps are essentially exactly the same as the individual learning path that we just set up. So you give it a name, give it a description, add a badge name. In this case, we're using the default, but we can upload our own image if we want. The only thing that's changed is we've got these self-enroll options selected here. Again, we have the features available here to say, well, I want to create levels of my self-enroll learning path. I want to create conditional access to say, I want my users to complete this learning path prior to being able to enroll in this learning path. You can also create a due date. Now, personally, I wouldn't recommend this for a self-enroll learning path because you don't have control over when people will enroll themselves in it. So, if you were to set a due date from 2 months from now, there's nothing to say someone couldn't enroll, a month and a half from now and not feel they have enough time to complete it. However, if you wanted to set up a learning path with a deadline of the end of the year or the end of 2021 or the end of the financial year, that's completely up to you. That is an option. But personally, I'm going to leave this disabled for now. I can change the notification email. This email will be sent out as and when the user clicks the enroll button, then they will receive this notification. There is a reminder email here as well. This will only be activated if a deadline has been selected. But you are able to edit those however you see fit. So this is all. I'm happy with all this information. I'm just gonna click cancel and get out of here. And just as before, you have the ability to add resources to your self-enroll learning path here. So we've got the three resources that are required. You can add more, you can take some away, you can indicate which ones are required, which ones are not required, or you can say I just want them to complete 2/3 of the resources as opposed to all of them. Those are all options, just the same as the individual learning path that we just set up. So I'm going to click cancel. So as and when a user is ready to enroll themselves, all they have to do is go into the into the course catalog area of their personal dashboard. Clicking here will display any self-enroll learning paths that have been set up either by school admins or by their admin. So you won't see a whole slew of non-applicable learning paths set up by different companies. It'll just be things that are applicable to your company or the school as a whole. So if I go back to my dashboard, I will quickly go back to the Manage Learning Path table. We'll get there in just a moment. And the exact same logic exists for tracking completions here. So with the test self-enroll learning path, I can see that we've got 3 people who've completed it out of the 22 who have enrolled. So if I click on the report link, again, I will get a little downloadable Excel document, which will pop up. And it will tell me which colleagues who have enrolled in the learning path have completed it. So this, again, it will provide a line per user and resource. So that's why you're seeing all this duplication of people's names. And we can see who has completed which resource and when, what's their status, if there's an e-learning module, which there is, who has gotten scores over 80%. So we can see a handful of people here who have completed. Here are their scores populated. And the date that the resource was complete, and if the entire learning path was complete, what date was that on? So I can see a whole bunch of people completed it today, which is great. I'm just going to close this. No, I don't want to save. Thank you very much. The only other thing that I wanted to take you guys through today was the ability to group your colleagues. So I will go through this very quickly. I know we're running out of time. I apologize. But if you go to your company dashboard, what you will see in the View Your Colleagues section, so if I just scroll down here a little bit, we've got the Our People tile. If you click on View All Colleagues, what you'll see is a table of all of your colleagues who are currently in your account. You have the ability to now manage groups. This is a new button that appears here in the top right. By clicking here, you can see any groups that you have previously created. If you don't have any and you want to create one, all you have to do is click this button and you will see a pop-up. This is where you can go to create a name. So I'm just going to go to test group. And you can start to, you can either add all the users of your company by ticking this box, or you can just start to search by individual users. So if I'm going to go Becky Bryant, you can search by name, or you can search by email address. I'm just going to add, one user here, but that's, that you can add as many users as you want, or as few users as you want. This is a great feature if you want to group your colleagues by department or job type or office or business unit. However you want to set it up, you can have as many groups as you want or as few groups as you want. People can be in multiple groups if you want. And if you go back to the View Colleagues table, you will see that all of their groups are listed here in this column. So you can easily scroll through and see who's in which group. So I can see Becky is in several groups. They're delineated by a comma. And now I can allocate resources to those entire groups as opposed to just individuals. So say I wanted to set up a procurement learning path for just my procurement staff. I can group my colleagues based on their job type, go into the managed learning paths, create a procurement learning path, and allocate it just to my procurement group. So I wouldn't have to choose each individual colleague to allocate resources to. That just about wraps it up. I will end it there. If you guys have any questions about learning paths going forward, please reach out and speak to us. We're here to support you. Really excited about these new features, and we really hope that you guys make the most of them. If you do need any support, let us know. We will be, as Becky said, circulating this webinar. We will also be launching a page on the site with instructional videos and frequently asked questions and things like that. So do keep an eye out for that. And on that note, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for joining, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the afternoon. Thanks very much.